Logan had always admired David. Since he could remember, David had been the solid figure in his life, the man who taught him, guided him, and took care of him with rare patience and affection. When his parents divorced, it was David who stood by him, which was odd, considering David wasn't his biological father, but a close friend of the family. Still, he became Dad to Logan, a nickname that stuck naturally, and Logan clung to him with a fondness that went beyond gratitude. The summer Logan turned 18, something started to change. He noticed details that had gone unnoticed before. The way David smiled when he talked about his plans. The way his eyes seemed deeper when they looked at him, as if sharing a silent understanding. Logan tried to push those thoughts away, but he couldn't deny that David was more than just a father figure. He was someone Logan wanted to be close to. One afternoon, while they were spending time in the backyard, David mentioned a weekend trip to a cabin he had rented. He often took these trips, but this time he invited Logan to join him. Logan's heart skipped a beat. Something inside him knew this trip could change things between them, but he wasn't sure if he was ready. Still, the curiosity and the desire to be near David were too strong to resist. When the weekend arrived, they hit the road, listening to music and talking about everything, from Logan's college plans to David's memories of his youth. The connection between them felt effortless, yet intense, as if there was an unspoken understanding that both recognized but hesitated to explore. Every minute together seemed to carry the promise of something deeper. That night, as they lit a fire outside the cabin, Logan watched David in the firelight, noticing every detail. He felt tempted to speak, to say something that revealed his confused feelings, but he held back. David seemed to notice his silence and, with a gentle smile, asked if he was okay. Logan just nodded, trying to control the whirlwind inside him. In the quiet of that night, Logan promised himself that no matter what happened, he would follow his heart, even if it meant risking the special bond he shared with David. The trip to the cabin transformed their friendship into something far more intimate. During the day, they explored trails together, laughing at silly things and sharing stories. Logan had never felt so free and understood. He noticed that each of David's gestures held a quiet, discreet care that made him feel special, as if he was the only person that truly mattered. One night, as they stargazed, David started talking about his dreams and fears, something he rarely did. Logan listened intently, feeling privileged that David trusted him so deeply. This openness intensified what Logan was already feeling, revealing a side of David he longed to know better. In a moment of courage, Logan moved closer, his heart racing as he looked at David in the soft moonlight. There was a silence between them that said more than any words. David didn't pull away. Instead, he smiled, as if he understood exactly how Logan felt and was willing to accept it. Over the following days, their bond grew stronger. Logan found himself watching David in small moments, the way he laughed, focused on little tasks, or how his eyes sparkled while sharing stories from the past. Each detail made Logan fall even more, and he knew this feeling was mutual, even though neither had expressed it openly. On the last day of the trip, just before heading back, David suggested a detour to a nearby scenic spot. Logan agreed, and during that brief walk, the attraction between them became even more undeniable. Without any words, only the subtle brush of their shoulders as they walked, both knew something between them had changed forever. Returning home, Logan knew it would be impossible to go back to how things were. The feeling was intense and real, and he was ready to face whatever came to keep it alive. David, on his part, seemed equally committed, as if he had found something in Logan he had never experienced before. Their routine after the cabin trip brought a new dynamic between Logan and David. What used to be a simple family relationship had become something more subtle, yet powerful. Logan felt a different kind of closeness, as if every moment with David now carried a delicate, electrifying tension filled with glances they both tried to hide, but which revealed more than friendship. David noticed the change as well. He would seek out Logan in trivial situations, ask him about his day, offer to accompany him on small outings, and find excuses to spend more time together. These gestures didn't go unnoticed, and Logan found himself more drawn in, like he was walking toward a point of no return. One afternoon, while talking in the kitchen, David reached out and gently touched Logan's shoulder in a way that felt almost protective, but with a softness that sent a shiver down Logan's spine. Logan looked up at him, speechless, as their eyes met in an exchange that meant more than any conversation. It was as if, at that moment, they both acknowledged that something undeniable was growing between them. That night, Logan lay awake, replaying David's touch in his mind. He thought about how new and intense this feeling was and how he was willing to embrace it, no matter what it meant for them. He wanted to be with David, to understand him more deeply, and to explore every facet of their connection. As the weeks passed, their relationship became a precious secret, something only the two of them knew and cherished deeply. They exchanged knowing glances, subtle smiles, and occasional touches that went beyond what a simple hug of friendship should be. With David, Logan felt he was finally discovering who he truly was. One evening, David invited Logan on a walk through the park. As they strolled, David paused and looked deeply into Logan's eyes. "I never thought I'd feel this for anyone, especially someone like you," he said in a low, sincere voice. Logan, surprised and touched, couldn't help but smile. He knew they were at the beginning of something unique and extraordinary. The time spent together continued to deepen Logan and David's bond. They found comfort in one another's presence, savoring the quiet moments that spoke louder than words. Logan felt a warmth and happiness he had never experienced, and being close to David filled him with a peace that made life feel complete. One rainy afternoon, David suggested watching a movie together at his place. Logan agreed, and soon they were seated on the couch, the rain pattering softly against the windows. As the movie played, Logan found himself unable to focus on the screen. His heart raced, feeling the warmth of David beside him. Without even realizing it, their bodies drew closer, and their hands brushed together in a gesture as natural as breathing. David looked at Logan with an intensity that made him catch his breath. That touch seemed more meaningful than any words they could exchange, and in that moment, time seemed to stop. David held Logan's hand gently, as if he understood the depth of the feelings they shared. Neither of them spoke, but both knew that something monumental had just happened. That night, Logan returned home, his mind spinning and his heart pounding with emotion. He wondered what would come next, but at the same time felt an indescribable sense of security with David. There was something unbreakable in that bond, something that made him believe that no matter what the future held, they would always have each other. As the days passed, their connection only grew deeper. Logan felt he could trust David in ways he had never trusted anyone. He shared things about himself he had never told anyone. And David listened with a patience and attention that made Logan feel truly valued and accepted. This relationship, which had started as a friendship, had now become an essential part of who he was. In a moment of courage, Logan confessed to David that he had never felt this way before. He was in love, and it was undeniable. David embraced him in response, as if he recognized the importance of that feeling and was ready to protect it at all costs. For Logan, that embrace was confirmation that his love was reciprocated, and he surrendered fully to what he felt, knowing this was the beginning of something extraordinary.
After that night, Logan and David found a new rhythm in their relationship. Now, they had not only an intense emotional connection, but also a quiet certainty that they belonged together. Logan felt complete beside David. Every moment they shared felt special, as if the world around them disappeared when they were together. They started spending more time alone, seizing every opportunity to be close. On one weekend, David suggested a trip to the beach. Logan agreed without hesitation, excited for more time alone with him. Walking along the shore, with the sun setting on the horizon, he felt the world was perfect with David by his side. Those moments together had a simplicity and beauty he had never experienced. That night, as they looked up at the stars, Logan rested his head on David's shoulder. The silence was comfortable and filled with a mutual understanding that didn't need words. Logan knew he was loved, and he loved just as deeply. To him, David was his safe haven, the place where he would always find peace and joy. And, in that moment, he wished they could stay like that forever. David responded by wrapping his arm around Logan as if he wanted to protect him from the entire world. They knew that, although this relationship was delicate and required discretion, the love they shared was real. Logan didn't care about what others would think or the challenges they might face. He was determined to keep David in his life. The days they spent at the beach would forever remain etched in Logan's memory. It was there that he realized his love for David wasn't just a phase or a passing feeling. It was a part of him, something etched in his soul that nothing could erase. He was willing to face anything to protect this bond. When they returned home, Logan felt stronger and more secure. He knew they had created something rare, something worth fighting for. With David by his side, he wasn't afraid of the future. He felt ready to face whatever came, knowing that together they could overcome anything. Logan and David now saw each other more and more as partners, companions in every sense. Their routines intertwined naturally. They shared chores, meals, and found joy in the little things of everyday life. Logan felt like he was living a reality he had always wanted, and the love he shared with David made every moment worthwhile. One peaceful afternoon, while walking through a park, Logan held David's hand without thinking twice. The simple but meaningful gesture brought a smile to both their faces. Being with David was more than just an adventure. It was a home, a place where he could be himself and feel truly loved and accepted. Logan knew that this love was rare and precious, something he wanted to protect at all costs. As their relationship grew stronger, Logan began to dream of a future with David. He imagined a life where they could be open about their love, without fears or secrets. Despite the barriers that might arise, Logan felt confident that, with David by his side, they could face any challenge.
In a special moment, David shared a letter he had written for Logan, expressing everything he felt. The words were deep, and Logan realized how much David valued and respected him. That letter wasn't just a declaration of love. It was a commitment, a promise that he would stand by Logan no matter the circumstances. Overwhelmed, Logan hugged David, feeling the depth of that gesture and the importance of their relationship. He knew he had found something rare, and each moment with David was a blessing. He decided to return the favor by writing his own letter, filled with feelings he had kept to himself until then. That night, as he handed it over, Logan felt vulnerable, but grateful to be able to express his feelings. David read it attentively, each line touching him deeply. When he finished, he looked at Logan with a sparkle in his eyes, pulling him into a long, silent embrace. It was a confirmation that together they were ready for anything, that the love they shared was stronger than any challenge.
As the months passed, the relationship between Logan and David grew stronger and more meaningful. They had found a unique harmony, as if they were two halves of the same heart. Logan now understood what it meant to truly love and be loved in return, and he felt grateful every day to have David by his side. David, in turn, cared for Logan with a tenderness and devotion that went beyond expectations. He made sure to be present in every small moment, always supporting Logan in his choices and encouraging him to pursue his dreams. Logan knew that David was more than just a partner. He was his best friend, his family, someone who understood him on a deep level. On a special weekend, David planned a surprise trip for Logan. They ventured to a small coastal town where they enjoyed peaceful days by the sea. They walked along the beaches, laughed together, and shared dreams under the stars. It was paradise, and Logan allowed himself to imagine they could live like this forever, just the two of them, in a world where their love was all they needed. One particularly starry night, sitting on the sand, Logan took the initiative to make a promise. "I want you to know that no matter what happens, I'll always be here for you," he said with a firm yet emotional voice. David smiled, gently touching Logan's face. "I know," he replied, his eyes shining with sincerity. It was a moment of confirmation for both, a silent promise that they would never be alone. Returning home, Logan felt complete. He knew they had created something rare, something worth fighting for. With David by his side, he didn't fear the future. He felt ready to face whatever came, secure in the knowledge that together they could overcome anything. They continued to build precious moments, savoring each instant together. Their love was a constant flame, a light that guided every step, and they both knew they were experiencing something many spend their lives searching for without ever finding. They were happy, and nothing seemed capable of breaking what they had built.
Life with David was everything Logan had ever wanted, and the two were excited about the plans for their big trip. They spent weeks preparing, planning every detail and dreaming of the places they would visit together. The joy was palpable, and Logan felt he was about to live an unforgettable adventure with the man he loved. On the morning of the trip, they set off by car with a lighthearted and hopeful mood. They talked, laughed, and exchanged knowing glances, savoring every moment together. But halfway there, a sharp curve and a brief moment of distraction changed everything. The car skidded, and in seconds, what had been a dream turned into a nightmare. When Logan regained consciousness, he was in the hospital feeling disoriented and confused. He quickly realized something terrible had happened, and when he looked to his side, he noticed that David was not there. His heart started pounding uncontrollably as reality hit him like a blow. A nurse entered, with a grave look on her face, and her silence said it all. David had not survived the accident. The news hit Logan like a tidal wave, shattering everything he knew and leaving a deep void in his chest. He felt lost, as if the world around him had collapsed. The love of his life, his companion, was gone, and nothing could bring David back. The grief was solitary and devastating. The bracelet David had given him became his only solace, a constant reminder of the love they had shared. Logan spent hours holding the bracelet, remembering every moment they had lived together, trying to find some comfort in those memories. Even though David was no longer by his side, Logan knew that his love would live on in his heart. With time, Logan found a way to move forward. He knew David would want him to keep living and seeking happiness. The pain never fully disappeared, but Logan carried with him the strength of that love. A love that had taught him the true meaning of giving oneself completely and being loved unconditionally. And, although life had gone on, Logan knew that a part of David would always live within him. Every step he took was in honor of that unique and unforgettable connection, an eternal reminder of the man who had changed him forever.